Anyway, let's get started with game number 1 of the first match of the semifinals. Count it down in 3, 2, 1. Tetris. K9 watching Tetris. Welcome on in with a 3, 2, 1 bits. Good luck, have fun. This will be the first call of many. Alright, thanks CTL for doing it for me. If you would like to head on over to... If you'd like to help contribute to the prize pool, you can do so with Match Arena. We're currently at $2,805.68. Currently the highest our prize pools have ever been in CTL history, beating our previous high of $2,500 back in Season 18. But there's still plenty of time to build up on that prize pool and help our players out, especially since we're about to get into the CTWC season next week. We would love to raise at least $3,000 so that way the semifinalist can get at least $300, 10% of the prize pool for the semifinalist. And I believe the winner so far will get $1,400 of that prize money. So 159 for Dan, 140 for Gerald. Getting bursted with square pieces here. DanV with a bit of a spiral that was forming on columns 3 and 4. Gerald at 164, Dan 205. So Dan with a better start, but as I say, that had to create a gap in the center of his stack. Chaotic Hazel saying K9 is literally the Mr. Beast of Tetris. Yeah, after that dig, DanV has lost his lead, is now at 262, 279 for Gerald. You all ain't ready for Friday. Well, I'm pretty ready because I'm not going, so I'm just gonna be in the comfort of my own home. So I'll be ready to be in bed. 351 for Gerald, 311 for DanV. And there we go. So we're back and forth here with the leads. Pretty neck and neck between these two players. Gerald was trying to wait for that Z piece to set up a spin or a potential tuck, but didn't get either piece in time, so I had to create a hole in his stack in column 2. Getting bursted with square pieces right now, and also droughted. Very unfriendly combination, but he's handling it very nicely. DanV experiencing the same drought, but Gerald unable to utilize that long bar for Tetris. And Dan has taken the lead, but Gerald takes it right back. So 385 plays 386. Now 413 for Dan. Sets up a T-spin. Goes for the... Someone tell me what that is. It's either the... It's a JD spin or a boiler spin. There you go, JD spin. It's one of the... I know that they're interchangeable. Not interchangeable, but they're like complete opposites of each other. Thanks, Dangler. If you were to trust anybody to correctly name the spins, it has to be Dangler. $463 for Dan, $427 for Gerald, so set up for a potential 550 transition with this efficiency. Meanwhile, Dan set up for a... I think he could get a 600k transition. Yeah, he can get a 600k, but has no room to burn. Neither just does Gerald, but regardless of... Even if he plays perfect, he'll still be behind into transition. DanV forced to create a weird tuck sequence here in this stack, and I don't know what he's trying to do, but he's about to transition, sets up a double, gets a double, and solves the JP's dependency. Transitions at 562, so here we go. First 19 transition of the semifinals in CTL season 25. DanV transfers as well to the right side with a triple as Gerald has overtaken the lead, but only by about 7,000 points. And Dan sets up a column 8 Tetris, but couldn't utilize a Lombard. No longer with the Tetris ready board, transfers as well once again to the far right. But after all that, Gerald has taken a Tetris lead. If you can take a look at the top center of the score, you'll see that he's ahead by 1.08 Tetrises. Calculations courtesy of Nestor's Champs. 693 for DanV with a pretty uncomfortable stack right now is with the JP's dependency. Gerald had to open up his right wall. Oops, it. Sorry, I thought I got called, so I ended up losing my train of thought. But he did open up his right well and gets a 30 left wall Tetris. $792 for Gerald, $758 for Dan, who has a clean board. So we are back and forth here with the leads. Gerald solving the JP's dependency on the right side. Tries to open up his right well, and he does. It's got to be Tetris ready, but have to close it. Right back up, right before the Lombard comes. But is once again Tetris ready. Where's that Lombard? It's just not showing up. DanV with an 886, 835 for Gerald, who's getting droughted. 21 pieces and counting, going aggressive with these placements. Where's that Lombard? 37 pieces and counting. 38, 39, 40. Spires his center, opens it right back up. His Tetris ready, but closes down his wall. DanV in a lot of trouble. Closes down his right wall, opens it right back up. It's still Tetris ready. And both players are Tetris ready once again after that nasty drought. And a boom, Tetris for Dan. Gerald, 944 for Dan, 97 for Gerald. And we're about to reach the 29 transition. And here we go. Gerald transitions with a 969. DanV can transition with a max out, and he will do just that. 1.01 for DanV. Here we go. First 29 transition of the match. Gerald with a bit of a messy stack right now. Solves this L dependency in the center. Looking for a J piece or a Lombard. That Lombard's going to work. DanV bangs on a Tetris. Now with a 1.1. Level 30. Gerald responds with a Tetris of his own. 74,000 points behind the DanV, but Dan in a bit of trouble right now. Needs to survive this, or this can give Gerald the opportunity to take the first game. Dan going for the flat burns here. Gerald's still behind, but with a cleaner stack. 1.08 for Gerald, 1.12 for Dan. Looking for the Lombard to solve his dependency. Hangs a J piece. This could actually do it for Dan if he doesn't get the Lombard time. That Lombard's not showing up. And they'll top out with a 1.12. And with this Tetris, Gerald has taken game number 1 from Gerald. So take 2. Game 2 and 3, 2, 1, Tetris. Looks like everything is correct. There you go. As you can see, same piece sets. Gerald couldn't utilize that long bar for Tetris while DanV can. Gerald starts off with a bit of a precarious board. Oh man, 5 taps that long bar all the way to the left side, solves this L dependency. Now it solves the J piece dependency. As DanV has taken an early 2.5 Tetris lead and counting now 3.5 Tetris lead, 79,000 points ahead of Gerald, who's taken his first Tetris of the game. Dan now with the J piece dependency, solves the J piece dependency right on time for the Tetris. Now Spires his right side, but still bangs on a Tetris. For those of you just tuning in, welcome on in, Zaida Lutsky over on YouTube. Bit of online facts for these two, or between these two. If you guys were here at the beginning of the stream, you already know these online facts, but I'll say it anyway, because why not? DanV currently in his first ever CTL playoffs. For the championship run here. Beat Dog, our 4-time CTL winner in the quarterfinals. And is looking to get a bit of a Cinderella story going. And make it to his first finals during his first championship playoffs run, while Gerald, with a misdrop there, gets a nice S-spin. Has already won 2 previous seasons, so is a 2-time CTL winner. Is looking for his 3rd. Summer B on Twitch asking, are all of these players attending CTWC? I do not think Gerald is. DanV will be. Blue Scooty, of course. Andy, yes. So that's out of our semifinalists. $375 right now for Dan. 83% Tetris rate. Plays a Gerald 305, 58% Tetris rate. And DanV with a very, very high long bar dependency makes 2 long bar dependencies. Oh man, these are some very uncomfortable pieces for Dan, losing a lot of efficiency. But it will give Gerald the opportunity to take or chip away at the lead. Summer B saying, unfortunate that Gerald won't. All these players have what it takes to do well there, of course, but at least we're seeing them in CTL. Of course. We can at least see them in Masters and CTL and Tetris Wars. DanV is clean, but lost a lot of pace with that gnarly dig. Is Alex T out? Yes, he got eliminated by Gerald Freeman in the quarterfinals. Alex T being our season 24 finalist. Oh, such a gnarly dig, bro. Radical. Yeah, you're right. Summer. But yes, a bit of a... I'll give you guys one more online facts here. I'm pretty sure for the past 3 seasons now, if not 4, If anybody's here to fact check me, feel free to do so. But I'm pretty sure for the past 3 seasons, Gerald Freeman transitions at 525. But we've had every championship finals end up in a sweep. 542 for Dan, 566 now, 551 for Gerald. Season 22 had Dog sweeping Blue Scooty. Season 23 had Andy sweeping Miles. And Season 24 had Dog sweeping Alex T. So, who knows? Will the streak continue for this season, or will that get broken? Of course, it's way too early to mention that right now, because we're only in the semifinals, as DanV has a 6-43, looking to take his first game of the set. Gerald looking to extend his lead. Now at 662, level 22, so ahead in the line count. Looks like Gerald is experiencing a bit of a drought, 22 pieces. DanV experiencing the same drought right now. Hangs on a Tetris, though, at 738, and another Tetris, so it looks like he has a bit of a advantage in terms of pace, but not too significant. It's really only a Tetris and change. Heizoku underscore 000. Thank you for the follow. Gerald at level 24 bangs on a Tetris, now at 821. Adjust that J piece to accommodate the T and try and set up a Tetris quicker. DanV takes the lead. Gerald Tetris ready, bangs on a Tetris, gonna be J dependent on the left side. Yeah, there you go. Classic Tetris League official. Fact checking me there, or confirming the fact that I gave earlier on. That in fact, it's been 3 seasons where the finalists ended in a sweep. But 902 for Dan, 923 for Gerald. Dan in a bit of trouble right now, but gets a long bar in time for the Tetris, now at 936. So looking to open up this hole in his stack. Not going to be Tetris ready if he gets to the long bar. It's just going to be a triple, and getting droughted as well. Gerald takes the lead. 997. Couldn't utilize that long bar for a Tetris, but is Tetris ready now. Gets a long bar for a Tetris. 1.03. Can set up 2 more Tetrises before the 29 speeds. DanV responds with a max out of his own. And Gerald transitions with 1.07. DanV with a long bar dependency. It's going to transition with this single and transition with a 1.03. Starts off with a misdrop. Gonna be Tetris ready right now. Looking to take the lead with his Tetris, but getting droughted. Couldn't get the Tetris, so has to make do with a triple. Solves this JP's dependency on the left side. Gerald with a 1.09, almost a 1.1. DanV with a 1.06. Gerald bangs on a Tetris, and Dan in a lot of trouble. Needs something to the right side. Gets a long bar to the right. Flat burns there. Hangs the T-piece. This could do it for Dan, and hangs that long bar, and that will do it. Topping out at 1.06. Gerald has taken game number 2, and will be at match point. So Dan, once again, you have the choice. 18 or 19 start. Ready from Gerald, so let's get started with game number 3. In 3, 2, 1, Tetris. Dan looking to avoid the sweep. Survive game number 3 and potentially take the broom away from Gerald. Jasmine saying, Gerald Freeman, best Tetris piece. If you guys were a Tetris piece, what piece would you be? K9 with 100 bits saying, you got this, DanV. Josh saying, I'd be the L. Frowny face. And Shane Lightning on YouTube saying, L for love. And Scooty saying S. Oh no. Dusting and Flying saying, I'd be a triangle because I don't fit in. What a loser! I'm just kidding. Body-wise, I'd be a T piece. Chaotic Hazel saying T because spinning is fun. Jinx saying I'd be the Z piece because too much of me gets incredibly annoying really fast. Well, ain't that a mood? But DanV with a 146, 145 for Gerald. DanV with a Spire. But Gerald with a triple Lombard dependency had to close down those dependencies though. Zada saying I'd be the I piece, of course. Gerald doesn't go for the dirty Tetris setup, it instead opts for the burns. And at 197, 50 lines, 155 for Gerald at 46 lines. Okay. Let me ask this. If for some reason, just out of nowhere, I just started asking, right? Like, hey, for the finals, for the championship finals, I need a co-commentator. Would any of you volunteer to be a co-commentator? It's not gonna happen. But I'm just wondering if anybody, like, if you had the opportunity to commentate, would you? Dan kind of spires to center once again. Josh, Ray, and Portal saying yes. Burrito Dad saying, get Le Captain RRR. Oh my god. Dusting and Flying saying, I'd swear too much for the role. Gerald solves his Lombard dependency. And we just got a... hold on, let me see Gerald survive this. Yeah, he's gonna be okay. We just got a $193.32 contribution from Corporal 381. Absolute W's for Corporal. Thank you so much, dude. Greatly appreciated. 483 for Dan, 418 for Gerald. Yeah, can we get a W in chat for Corporal, guys? Oh, Gerald in a bit of trouble here. Sets up a Vitz, but doesn't get for the Vitz. He actually goes for the spin. But he is going to survive this by the looks of it, right on time before transition. Akira saying, I can't talk that fast for the later levels, that is, to be a co-commentator. Fair enough. But it looks like Gerald is going to transition with a high 400k. So yeah, 459 transition for Gerald, 603 for Dan. So Dan right now doing what he needs to do right now to try and survive this game 3 and avoid the sweep. 561 for Gerald though, so he's still in this. 5.5 Tetris is behind. Saluji, thank you for the follow. You know, sometimes I wish there was a text-to-speech, but just for my ears, so I can know how you guys want me to pronounce your names. Avrix with a raid, thank you so much. Welcome on in. 784 for Dan, 643 for Gerald. And Gerald with double flip on the Z piece, so it is going to give DanV a bit of an opportunity to take an even bigger lead, but he has a Lombard dependency in the center and a Spire forming, and that Lombard's not showing up. Oh my god, this is actually really problematic for Dan. Opens up his center well. That's a triple. And it's gonna be okay, so a bit of a scare for Dan as Gerald is still cleaning. So all things considered, Dan can still take a bigger lead, but is not capitalizing on it. Gerald is clean now. His Tetris ready, bangs on the Tetris, so maintains this 5.5 Tetris deficit. Commentating is difficult, so ups to you for doing a great job. Oh, thank you so much, Saida. Really greatly appreciated. 815 for Gerald, 985 for DanV, 1 off of a max out on level 26. And we just got a $1 contribution from Juhas Baldisar. I don't know how to say your name, sorry guy. But thank you so much for the contribution, bringing our total up to $3,000 as Gerald in Top Out City right now, still alive, but in a lot of trouble as we near transition. $932 right now for Gerald. 5 lines to go before the 29th transition. DanV can set up one more Tetris. 1.196.6 Tetrises ahead. We'll transition with a single. Bangs on a Tetris now with a 1.23. 987 for Gerald. Has the max out, but is still behind by about 200,000 points. And here we go. DanV banging down these Tetrises on the 29 speeds. Exactly what we expect from him. Keep in mind, this is the player that beat Dog in the quarterfinals 3-1. Our 4-time winner got eliminated because of this player. But he's in a bit of trouble right now. Closes down his right well. Needs him left side. Gets a Lombard all the way to the left with a 5-tap. Nice T-piece flat. Oh my god, needs the right combination of pieces here to be okay. Gerald's still burning as well. Flat double with the L piece. Single there with a Lombard on the right side. Stays alive right now, but still needs to open up his wall. He will with that Lombard, and he's Tetris ready. Had to burn down his board, but is safe. What survival right now from Dan. Takes a safety triple once again. Still ahead by 169,000 points, but Gerald's still in the game. And he bangs out of Tetris now with a 1.4. Saying he's not going to go down without a fight, but as I say that, hangs that piece on the left side. Needs some 5-tap on the left side. Flat burns there with the L. DanV cannot afford a top out. Gerald only behind by a Tetris and a half. Dan with a Lombard dependency on the right side gets a triple. Still ahead by 63,000 points. Gerald with a 1.42, 1.44 for Dan. Oh, Gerald in a lot of trouble. His Tetris ready, but to close on his right wall. And that's going to do it for Gerald with a 1.42. Dan has taken game number 3 and is still in the game. And we'll finish it off with the Tetris with a 1.5. We have it ready for middle players. So let's get started with game number 4. It's breaking on your door. And 3, 2, 1, Tetris. Well, I'm gonna see if I can fix the audio levels on my microphone. Okay, we're just gonna not fiddle with it. K9 watching Tetris, gifting a tier 1 sub to the Corporal. The 3-month gift sub there. Thank you so much, K9, and I'm sure Corporal appreciates that as well. Colin, welcome on in. Hello, Mr. Peak. DanV starts off with the Spire in the center. Gerald not with the friendliest of pieces for his stack is going to be Tetris ready regardless. DanV looking to even out his stack. Keeps building on that Spire. Oh, goodness gracious. But he's going to be okay. The Corporal saying, I have been anointed by the K9. I feel blessed. Would it be a scummy move? Okay, let's be real here. Would it be a scummy move if I changed... Wait, hold on. DanV with the double? Bangs out of Tetris is going to be okay. But would it be a scummy move if I changed the $3,000 prize goal? Because we already reached it. Thank you guys so much, by the way. I'm sure our players will appreciate it. But if I change that from 3,000 to 4,000, and I let's say that Porto with a $5 contribution, I think. Wait, Porto did not do that. He actually, hold on. 2 things happened at the same time. Midas once again with a $5 contribution saying, come on, DanV. K9 gifting a tier 1 gift sub to Panic Portal. Thank you so much, K9, once again. $237 plays $242 for Gerald. CTL with the online facts. Match facts. DanV is 4-0 lifetime versus Gerald. 13-3 entering today's match. So DanV started off this set with a history. Undefeated run against Gerald Freeman. So Gerald 1 game away from breaking that streak. K9 gifting another tier 1 sub to Angler. And Jack Adian, thank you so much for the follow. And Gerald with the bang. Dirty Tetris. Yes, W Gifter. $365 right now for Dan, $346 for Gerald. Nice, oh, goes for the spin tuck there with a T-piece on DanV's side. So, right now with a 41,000 point lead above Gerald. With that J, he sets up a T-tuck. So Dan kind of flaunting his, adjustment abilities. This is actually a bit in favor of Gerald. Dan is actually ahead by 10-ish lines. Attack Nearest gifting a tier 1 sub to meet us. Thank you so much, guys, for all of your generosity and building up this hype train right now that's forming on Twitch. 519 for Dan, 485 for Gerald. For those of you just tuning in, stay tuned after this match because we will be having Blue Scooty versus Pixel Andy. This will be a match to determine our second finalist. Oh, Dan with the 5 and below. Is that what it is? Has to be, right? It is a 5-tap. Regardless, he transitions at 567, 578 for Gerald, so definitely has the advantage. DanV very much ahead in the line count. Old Bang on a Tetris 593. Milo 220 50 bits. Thank you so much saying let's go DanV. And yes, we will be having the championship finals. We'll be ending this season tonight. So everything will be happening tonight. The semifinals and the finals. Dan with these tuck setups on level 21. Experiencing a 20-piece drought and counting. His Tetris ready. Oh, Dan with a Lombard dependency gets a triple. Gerald has to open up his well, experiencing some burns, which is going to give Dan the opportunity to take the lead if he gets the Tetris. But Gerald gets a 30 Tetris. 739 plays 715. Dan behind. So we are fairly neck and neck, but still ahead in the line count is Dan. We'll see if this plays a factor. Oh, Dan in a lot of trouble. Does get the Tetris. Gerald's still burning, so has lost the lead as Dan takes the Tetris. Tic-tac. Trying to look up the bracket. If you want to know who's playing right now, this is semifinals. DanV versus Gerald. The next semifinals will be between Blue Scooty and Andy. I'll actually show the bracket after this match, so everybody can be up to date. Dan at level 26, 904. 853 for Gerald. So Dan has taken an 83,000 point lead, but he's still ahead in the line count. So this is neck and neck regardless in terms of pace. Gerald still with a slight advantage. DanV experiencing this drought, trying to avoid as many burns as possible, but forced into having to burn because he's getting very high up there. He needs a Lombard, 35-piece drought and counting. Where's the Lombard? He's Tetris ready. Can't afford another drought. Gets the Tetris. 987. Safety double with that flat J. That's another Tetris for the max out. Gerald with a Lombard dependency. Actually, it was an L dependency. Solves it, though. It's going to be Tetris ready. Bangs out of Tetris. Dan transitions with a 1.06. Looking to survive this game 4 and forces decider, but misdrops at a Z piece. This could actually just do it for Dan. This Lombard dependent. That's going to burn a double. Needs a J piece to the left side. Hits the 5-tap. Oh my god, it can't survive this actually. Needs an L in time, but that's not gonna happen. Gerald has moved on to the finals. But congrats to Dan regardless, making it all the way to the semifinals, and we'll get into the prize pool. Currently, $300 are going to DanV. So we'll let Gerald play this out, and then we'll set up the winner seed, and then I'll show you guys the bracket. Up next, Blue Scooty versus Pixel Andy. There you go. Gerald will top out with a 1.37. GG's. And a winner scene for Gerald. Classic Tetris League thing. GG, Dan can now buy 3 Squishamallows for his lady with that winnings. Seasons 15, 16, and all that is that true OGs will remember when Fractal used to tap on 18 and 19 and then try to grip switch on 29, and then it would rarely work out because grip switching is it's definitely a method. I gotta fix Andy's cam a little bit. I do have him kind of off the center. So there we go, be a little better. There we go. Gotta make sure I can screenshot for the thumbnail properly. Tiwi. $235 for Fractal, $196 for Andy. Here we go. Fractal starting on with a very, very efficient start here. 82% Tetris rate. 328 now. 351 at 72 lines. Plays Andy's 272. Now 295 at 70 lines. Stormer Norman saying, one day I want to be the most hybrid player in existence. Purely DAS in 18, tap in 19, and roll in 29. Sounds like a recipe to early top out all the time on 18. Not just kidding. Power Glove on level 33. True. So Fractal still with a 4.5 Tetris lead. This is a bit of a rematch from CTWC 2023. In the top 8 where Fractal and Andy faced off. Can you believe CTWC is in a little over a week? That is kind of crazy. And we are slowly but surely nearing the 19 transition. Less than 20 lines to go. 521 for Fractal, 486 for Andy. Fractal still with a 2.5 Tetris lead. It looks like he is set for the 600k transition. Steel on Twitch saying flat controller versus sideways controller battle. Also the ever so classic lotion versus glove. Who will prevail? Looks like Andy's going to set up a level Tetris into transition. Fractal transition at 661, actually 630 something. He took a Tetris. 605 for Andy. So here we go. First 19 transition of the set. Very, very efficient game right now for these two. 80% Tetris rate for Fractal, 73% Tetris rate for Andy. Not a lot of droughts. And I know I just jinxed it, but not a lot of droughts. Andy with a LP piece dependency converts it into a Lombard dependency, solves the dependency, bangs on the Tetris now. 716, 746 for Fractal, who is in a bit of a situation. He needs to survive this. Looks like he is going to survive this fairly quickly. Just going to cost a significant amount of burning, which Andy can utilize it to his advantage. Bangs on the Tetris, only behind by 6,000 points. Had to close down his right well. Oh my god, bursted with square pieces yet again. 70 strip. Oh no, that's not white bat. This one isn't white bat. Typically we use white bat, but I abusing my YouTube editor powers, use a mix of white bat music and this current track from Xenoblade. It's called Counterattack. And Andy having to do some burns right now. Only is now behind by 100,000 points. 4.5 Tetrises. Takes a triple, but Fractal is clean now. And Andy just not getting the right set of pieces. Takes another triple. Has to burn this down as quickly as possible because he's losing a lot of pace and he's not in any position to Tetris anytime soon. Five Tetrises behind is Andy. Fractal already with a max out. And Fractal extending this lead even further. Andy with a J-piece dependency on the left side solves it. Oh, doesn't solve it. Hits the 5-tap for the Lombard on the left. Still needs a J-piece on the left side. Fractal transition with a 1.1. Andy solves his dependency into transition with a 938 after that Tetris. So here we go, off and running with the first 29 transition. Andy starts off with a misdrop. He's doing a great job at solving this, but still needs to do a bit of work. Yet to max out. Lombard dependency on column 2. Solves the Lombard dependency. Fractal in a bit of trouble right now. Needs to survive this. Hangs a J-piece and hangs the Lombard. That's going to do it for Fractal, topping out with 1.16. So Andy, 1.16 is the score to beat. If you were to line out the entirety of 29, this would be about